pour contempt on all my pride. Forbidden, Lord, that I should boast, save in the death of Christ, my God. All the vain things that charm me most, I sacrifice them through his blood. See from his head, his hands, his feet, sorrow and love flow mingled down. Did ever such love and sorrow meet, or thorns compose so rich a crown? Were the whole realm of nature mine, that would be an offering far too small. Love so amazing, so divine, has claimed my soul, my life, my all. That's an old hymn. When I Survey the Wondrous Cross was written by Isaac Watts. He lived from 1674 until 1748. He was a nonconformist, just like his dad. He was a restless genius. His IQ must have been way, way up there. Here's how he wrote his first hymn. Here's the occasion. They were coming home from church, and he was complaining. This is adolescent Isaac Watts complaining about the church music, and his dad kind of glared at him and said, "If you think you can do better, go write one yourself." So he did, and took it back to church. They sang it, they loved it. He wrote 750 hymns. He wrote thousands of sermons, so he was a preacher. He wrote books about logic, philosophy, psychology. And again throughout his life, he was shut down by anxiety and depression. So once again, we are in the presence of a character from church history, just like the biblical characters. They were a mess. They had issues. Probably he wrote When I Survey the Wondrous Cross around 1707, and he based it on one of Paul's letters, the letter to the Christ followers in the area of Galatia. This is the letter to the Galatians. It was Paul's angry letter. Paul was worked up when he wrote this letter. He was worked up because of things going on in that faith community. In chapter 6, verse 14, Paul wrote and said, "But may I never boast except in the cross of our Lord Jesus Christ, through which the world has been crucified to me and I to the world." In another translation, the Passion Translation, it reads this way: "May my only boast be found in the cross of our Lord Jesus Christ. In union with Christ, I have been crucified to this natural realm, and the natural realm is dead to me and no longer dominates my life. And then in Eugene Peterson's paraphrase called The Message, Paul says, for my part, I am going to boast about nothing but the cross of our Master, Jesus Christ. Because of that cross, I have been crucified in relation to the world, set free from the stifling atmosphere of pleasing others and fitting into the little patterns that they dictate. Isaac Watts based this hymn on Galatians 6:14. It's called When I Survey the Wondrous Cross. The word survey means to contemplate, to meditate on, and that sounds kind of morbid, doesn't it? There's never been a more barbaric, grotesque, bloody form of execution than Roman crucifixion. Isaac Watts was not being morbid when he wrote this. Paul was not being morbid when he wrote and said, I'm only going to brag about Christ, the crucified and risen Christ. They weren't being morbid. They were being swept off their feet. Listen again to the lyrics and think of it in that way. When I survey the wondrous cross on which the Prince of Glory died, my richest gain I count but loss, and pour contempt on all my pride. Forbid it, Lord, that I should boast, save in the death of Christ my God. All the vain things that charm me most, I sacrifice them through his blood. See from his head, his hands, his feet, sorrow and love flow mingled down. Did ever such love and sorrow meet, or thorns compose so rich a crown? Were the whole realm of nature mine, that would be an offering far too small. Love so amazing, so divine, demands my soul, my life, my all. You ever been swept off your feet? Have you ever been swept off your feet in the presence of love, so much so that you lose yourself? We're going vertical. Isaac Watts, Paul, me, being swept off our feet by the crucified and risen lover of our souls. But here's the plot twist. When we lose ourselves in union with the crucified and risen Christ, that is when we start finding ourselves. Grace and peace.